So we stopped here, right? Or maybe one more slide above it. So yeah, I think we stopped in here. This was the last one that we did before. So this is the second lecture of topic 6 that we are going to do right now. So let's see, where can I get this one too? So anyway, we discussed the attainment area, non-attainment area in the previous one, right? Difficulties. Okay. So the pollution standards, again, we are continuing on that. So Clean Air Act Amendment, CAA 1990, directed EPA to establish a HAP emission control program based on the technology for 189 chemicals. It's in table 9.2, you can take a look. EPA will establish emission allowances based on maximum achievable control technology, MCAT for MACT for 174 categories of industrial sources. And here are some of those information there. These are kind of statistical data. So how much has been generated in different cases. A MACT can include process changes, material substitutions, or air pollution control equipment. All of those are part of it. So the major air pollutants, carbon monoxide, then the lead, nitrogen oxides, ozone, and sulfur oxide, SOx, or we call sulfur dioxide, PM10, PM2.5. So the single star are primary criteria pollutants and double star are the secondary. So idea of the primary and secondary are primary one, they are generated directly as a form of it is, and secondary one is generated like combination of two or more of those pollutants together. So that's why they call it primary and secondary. The other primary has a lot of health effect, and secondary may not have a lot of health effect, but there may be a little, but it has effect on other things. So okay, so effects of air pollutants, we'll discuss it. Air pollutants have effects on materials, vegetation, and the health. So here are the one on the materials. Materials can do 5 mechanisms. It can do effect on the materials: abrasion, deposition and removal, direct chemical attack, indirect chemical attack, and electrochemical corrosion. So you guys have heard that. So solid particles of large enough size and traveling at high enough speed can cause deterioration by abrasion. Like say, if a bigger particle is moving through the wind and hit somebody, then it definitely will be, or any structure, this would be kind of abrasion. So with the exception of salt particles and dust storms and lead particles from automatic weapons fire, most air pollutants particles either are too small or travel too slow to speed to be abrasive. So it's not really a lot of abrasive things. Then deterioration, the way deterioration happens, basically solubilization and oxidation reduction reactions, TPFI, direct chemical attack, things like that. And frequent water must be present as a medium for those reactions to take place. Sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide in the presence of water react with limestone to form calcium oxide and gypsum, things like that. Both calcium oxide and gypsum are more soluble in water than calcium carbonate, and both are leached away when it rains. So indirect chemical attack would be occurs when pollutants are absorbed and then react with some component on the absorbent and other things like that. So this would be indirect. Okay. So oxidation reduction reaction cause local chemical and physical differences in metal surfaces. This difference in turn result in the formation of microscopic anodes and cathodes. So that's how it happens, the problem. Electrochemical corrosion results from the potential that develops in these microscopic batteries. So the factors that influence the deterioration, it could be moisture, temperature, sunlight, and position of the exposed materials. So each of them has a little bit of description here. Moisture looks like 60% or more. Humidity is in fact more. Humidity between 70 and 90 promotes corrosion without air pollutants. High temperature generally results higher reaction rate. So the sunlight sometime in addition to oxidation effect on its ultraviolet wavelength, sunlight stimulates the air pollution damage by providing the energy for pollutant formation and cyclic reformation. More sunlight increasing the rate of deterioration. So position of the exposed material, the position of the exposed surface influences the rate of deterioration by two ways. Whether the surface is vertical or horizontal or at some angle affects the deposition and wash-off rates. Whether the surface is upper or lower one. When the humidity is sufficient high, the lower side usually deteriorates faster because rain does not remove the pollutants as efficiently as necessary. Effects on vegetation basically depends on few things: cell and leaf anatomy, pollutant damage, problems of diagnosis. So in here we'll discuss cell and leaf anatomy a little bit, cell wall and protoplast. I think we should have some pictures. The inclusions, chromoplast, basically chloroplast and leucoplast and chromoplast are the responsible for the radial and orange color of the fruit and the flowers. Tree leaves contain three primary tissue systems: the epidermis, the mesophyll, and the vascular bundle, means veins. So, the chloroplasts are not present in the epidermal cell. So, the opening underside of the leaf is called the stoma or stomata for the plural. The mesophyll, which contains both palisade and parenchyma and spongy parenchyma, contains chloroplast. It is the food production center for the plants and other things. So here is the one shows the cross section of intact leaf. So there are some. There are air spaces. Here are the pores. Here are the chloroplast. So here is the upper epidermal cells. So these are the cells. The palisade, parenchyma, mesophyll cells. And then these are the spongin cells. Lower epidermal cells. So these are the one basically to understand the leaf structure. It's a kind of botany, things like that. Then pollutant damage, what kind of damage it can do? Ozone can do certain kind of damage in there. The chloroplast condense and ultimately the cell walls collapse. This results in the formation of red brown spot and turned white. After a few days, the white spot is called the flax. Nitrogen dioxide plant growth may be inhibited by continuous exposure 2.5 ppm, levels in excess of 2.5 ppm for periods of 4 hours or more required to produce narcosis, surface spotting due to the plasmolysis or loss of protoplasm. If there is no protoplasm, then it becomes a spot. I'll show you some picture there. I have some pictures like this one. So this is the ozone damage to radish plant resulting in a smaller radish. You see this is a very good one and this is not. So these are spotted, all of those, almost half of it, right? So here is the like say ozone damage to romaine lettuce, silver shine reduces the value. So it's not a green, so definitely it will reduce the value of the lettuce in this case. So here at the alfalfa, ozone damage to alfalfa reduces the nutritional value as animal food. So like so this seems to be the good one, but these are not. So that's why it's happening things like that. So sulfur dioxide injury is also typified by narcosis, but much lower levels. A concentration of 0.3 ppm for 8 hours is sufficient to cause that. Lower levels for longer period of exposure will produce a diffuse chlorosis, bleaching. So we're using chlorine and other thing. Fluoride deposition on plants not only causes them damage, but may result in a second outward effect. Grazing animals may accumulate in excess of fluoride that models their teeth and ultimately them to fall out. So this is the gross sulfur dioxide damage to trees, looks like. So it's a lot of damage, looks like trees. Trees are not having leaves or anything like that. So here is the sulfur dioxide damage to the corn. You see the corn is gone. I don't think we'll get any production out of this, right? So yeah, it's some people might say this is due to the rain, but it's not. There may be still rain, but still the corn may turns out to be like that because of sulfur dioxide damage. So here is the plume of sodium chloride kills trees. So this is the sodium chloride plume is coming out of it. So it's killing the trees because it's depositing their leaves and other cases. So that's what is happening. Effects on vegetation, again, problems of diagnosis, droughts, insect diseases, herbicide overdose, and nutrient deficiencies all can cause injury that resemble air pollutant damage. Also, combination of pollutions that alone cause no damage are known to produce acute effects when combined. This effect is known as synergism. So, the acute health effect is one of them. So, short time and very intense irritation, then we can call it acute health effect. And effects on health, chronic health effect is long time and moderate irritation could be part of the chronic health effect. Effects on health, inhalation and retention particles. So again, these are LRT, lower respiratory tract, and URT, upper respiratory tract, depending on where it is coming and what kind of particle is happening. So this is basically something the health effect can be. It could be bronchitis and other kind of diseases in here. So here is the effect that is happening. Smaller particle diffuse to the alveolar walls. So these are the bad ones. It looks like this is the healthy alveoli, okay, and these are the bad ones because this has a lot of particulate matter stick to those things in there. Okay, chronic respiratory diseases. Several long-term diseases of the respiratory system are seriously aggravated by and perhaps may cause by air pollutants. Airway resistance is the narrowing of air passages because of the presence of the irritating substances, and the result is that breathing becomes difficult. Bronchial asthma is a form of airway resistance that results from the allergy. So some of you might have allergy, might experience that in this case. So chronic respiratory disease, bronchitis is currently defined to be present in a person when excess mucus in bronchitis result in a cough for 3 months, a year for 2 consecutive years. Lung infection, tumors, and heart disease must be absent. Cancer of the bronchus, lung cancer, is characterized by abnormal disorderly new cell growth originating in the bronchial mucous membrane. Carbon monoxide, basically carbon monoxide has a lot of health effect. This is colorless, odorless gas and lethal to human, and the few minutes the concentration of exceeding 5,000 ppm. Reacts with the hemoglobin. Carbon monoxide reacts with the blood hemoglobin and to form carboxyhemoglobin. Hemoglobin has a greater affinity for carbon monoxide than oxygen. So thus formation of carbon monoxide, carboxyhemoglobin effectively deprives the body of oxygen. At carboxyhemoglobin levels of 5 to 10%, visual perception, manual dexterity, and ability to learn are impaired. A concentration of 50 ppm of carbon monoxide for 8 hours will result in a carboxyhemoglobin level of about 7.5%. Looks like 7.5% is not a good idea. At carboxyhemoglobin level 2.5 to 3%, people with heart diseases are not able to perform certain exercise as well as there might be an absence of carboxyhemoglobin. A concentration of 20 ppm of carbon monoxide for 8 hours will result in a carboxyhemoglobin level of 2.8%. The sensitive people are those with heart and circulatory ailments, chronic pulmonary disease, and developing fetuses, and those with conditions that causes increased oxygen demand, such as fever. Okay, then HAPs is known as the air toxics. Basically, they have some health effect. HAPs are regulated under NISHAPs that we mentioned before program that antivas casual agents for the variety of diseases. For instance, asbestos, arsenic, benzene, coke, oven emission, and radionuclides may cause cancer. All of those are carcinogenic. Beryllium primarily causes lung diseases but also affects the liver, spleen, kidneys, and lymph glands. So these are the one creates the problem. So in this case, I'm going to stop here just to make it reasonable.